voiceovering.
And we're voiceovering. Hey, it's Lou the camera guy, and
Krazy Karl.
we have to do this voiceover because my replacement microphone for the microphone that got stress tested and broke, it was broken as well. So we've got a whole lot of nothing for sound.
So we'll be kind of trying to do a play-by-play, which right now what you're seeing is you've seen the new junction bolt and me removing the old one currently using the broken screwdriver as a push for it.
Yeah. I tease them a lot about broken screwdrivers. Hey, why do you keep all those broken screwdrivers? But they make good punches.
Yeah. It's so you don't break your new ones.
True. And
and there's
Lord.
the destroyed threaded end.
Yeah.
Those threads were not really threads anymore.
They were gone.
And there's the suspension ends, and I'm trying to get the new one in.
Yep.
So I can put the strut assembly in.
So I was working the joist, support legs, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not a car
supports, lower supports
guy. Yeah.
for the suspension. And you have to get one side in. There's me fetching the old lock washer and determining that the old lock washer is not usable.
It's half melted. Thing was toast.
Completely flattened, partly melted. If you heat a lock washer enough, it's no longer flexy.
What if you heat it over the course of an afternoon with a propane torch?
Apparently, it does a pretty good job of turning it into just a regular washer.
Oh, okay.
And there was the camera guy handing me the strut assembly.
My hands were full.
And me trying to get everything lined up. And there's a lot of stuff that's got missing from this, but it was a nightmare trying to get the lower assembly arms to meet up with the suspension. Here's me being handed the camera to try to get a better angle of me fighting with the lower assembly. And as you can see, my camera skills are wonderful.
That's why he's got the non-paid camera guy. I think they were trying to demonstrate where the bolt holes were, and that's
and
what you were
lining it up. It was
yeah.
trying to line it up, and you have to twist these assemblies, and the passenger side has been wrecked, so it needs to be twisted a little more than normal. Yeah. So I was having a hard time figuring out if the bolts were lined up properly because of how much it was going to have to be twisted. Because it was, but yeah, after it gets up there, then you have to twist it and lift it. This has all been, it got lost, but you have to twist it and lift it.
But I got a good
and
shot of your
line
bald spot.
up the bolts so that you can get it together. And what I ended up having to do was bolt in the assembly to the outer one without the inner one being in there, get the inner one started, take the nuts back off, and try to line them up. And then I think I was able to do the inside ones. I did that way. Then the outside ones, I was able to get the bolts through the other arm and pull it all together. And it was a heck of a battle, and it's a shame it's not in there. I think we have it on the driver's side, though, so stay tuned for the driver's side, because I think we got that captured better, and it was more typical of what you're going to deal with, as opposed to this side where it's all messed up.
Yeah, but it also hadn't been hit on the driver's side either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he had to finagle it, had to wrench it, lift it.
And here's me fighting with the impossible to get to nuts for the upper assembly, for the upper nuts for the strut assembly. I could not get my hand in there, could not get through there, could not take enough stuff off. You have to take the AVAP canister right there, the battery tray, the surge protector, the circuit panel, and the tank off, the overflow tank. It's washer fluid tank, yeah.
Yeah. And
it was not practical too, so I ended up having to use a bunch of wiggle extensions and
fingertips
and a piece of paper towel or a piece of plastic to hold the nut into the socket so that I could line it up and get it started.
So what he did is he put the bolt nut in the socket, stuck the socket down with just his fingertips, and was maneuvering it on with his fingertips.
And finally got it. Now I'm tightening it down.
Yeah. Took us like a half hour to do that.
Yeah, that was...
Oh my God. So there's him tightening it down. So.
And looking for torque specs and whether there was any way to adjust the assembly to deal with the out of alignment. And the instructions told me nothing other than they didn't do a good job of translating to English.
Yeah. So if you ever wonder why guys don't read instructions, that's why. Generally, they tell you nothing other than it's written in Chinesium.
And finishing that, and then here's the beginning of me trying to lift and twist so I can line those bolt holes up.
Lift and twist. It sounds like a Richard Simmons dance on Sweating to the Oldies.
And I will tell you this, I'm watching, you got to watch when you're using the pry bar, crowbar not to damage the struts. And also watch your jaw. It tried to break my jaw on me.
Yeah.
That was missing footage.
Yeah, we missed that. You got to be careful. In all seriousness, don't disassemble struts when they come like that, and be very careful around those things. They can kick out if you don't disassemble them properly, if you don't remove them properly, pardon me.
And when you have assemblies like this, you have to pry them, you have to lift on them, and they will shift. So you have to be really careful that if it shifts, it's not going to kick whatever you're using to pry back at you in such a way it's going to injure you.
Yeah. Or if you do get injured in such a horrendous way, work on your war stories. Remember, you didn't get hit in the face with a shock. Yeah. You got hit in the face with a crowbar at a bar in Toledo. I don't know why Toledo.
I was going to say, why Toledo?
I don't know why Toledo. It just sounds like a good name.
Me putting the battery back in, rehooking. This is me telling my air conditioner compressor is seizing up.
Yeah.
And this was me trying to remove the belt, which it was a brand new belt. That's why it was catching enough to tell me it was seizing, even though it wasn't on. And the adjuster had broke. So I was trying to loosen the belt, and the adjuster will not adjust anymore.
So I figured he'd break a wrench instead.
Yeah, it broke yet another wrench. It's wrench number 5 on this project, I think. I broke
5, 6.
I broke a set of lock joint pliers, the 5 wrenches, and dead blow hammer.
Yeah. Partridge in a
pear
tree.
Did I break those needle nose pliers on this one, or was that another project?
I think that's another project.
They were already broken when I was using them here.
I think that's another project. I think it's the one thing you didn't break on this thing.
If they're still usable, I save them so I can use them when I think I'm going to break them. But as you're going through, notice the tags. I have new tools, and they're because I've exchanged broken tools. I've already tightened up.
Hey,
and
dialogue.
Sound. Camera ran out of juice, but I got the other one out. What this has, it has a lock point like the other one had, but this actually has where you push the rubber down and slide your wrench in. It kind of locks the wrench, and then holes. And I ended up using my my filed in wrench catches. Worked very well. So that's on. Now I just got to jack it up and get the sway bar linkage connected, and then put the new brake on.
Which would be a lot of fun.
I would say that should be the easy part, but if I say that, which I already have, it won't be.
We'll see what happens.
And the goal is to get all this done today so I can move this over and change the oil on that thing because it needs it.
Yes.
And I've got to go to Tennessee in it next week, which falls under the magic of ancient tires.
They're still together?
They still have tread too.
They're singing to you, from what I hear.
Yeah. They're actually all four singing different songs now, which is interesting. If you noticed that when you're riding in it today.
A little bit, yeah.
They're all four singing different songs. But they are in tune.
One of them was The Song That Never Ends. One of them was 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. It was a very strange road trip.
To the dump, to the dump.
To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump. But we did get that couch toss.
Yeah. Could have been a video in its own.
Possibly.
How to get a couch that you had to take doors and windows off your house to get in, back out after it's trash, and after you hated it the entire time.
I'll cut to the chase. Lots of fun with hammers.
Okay.
Yeah, you're trying to get the thing to line up.
Now down we go.
Basically, he's just finagling it until the screw goes down into the hole. Or technically the hole goes down onto the screw. And what size is that bolt?
17 millimeter. This is one I already had, luckily. That maxes out the jack.
So we got the shaft on there straight, and now we're tightening it the rest of the way down.
Because there should be, you need a thin walled, these are made for thin walled wrenches really, and I do not have any thin wrenches that are large enough for what sizes these are. Try these. I forgot I had these.
Pittsburgh coming in handy again.
Yep. I used a discount after I broke one. I don't think it's going to do any good though, because I don't think it's going to have anything the right size in it. It's probably 15 millimeter.
Oh yeah, you broke a hammer on this too, didn't you? The weighted hammer?
Oh yeah, the dead blow.
Dead blow, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yep, I broke the dead blow hammer too.
Kia is just, it wants a sacrifice in blood and tools.
You got the blood sacrifice too.
Yeah.
And I got a nice new brand on the back of my hand.
Yeah. Next, we're going to have to sacrifice one of the roommates to it. Hold them over the engine block and tear their heart out or something.
But this isn't a Chrysler. And there we go.
Yeah. I thought Chryslers wanted you to just hold your wallet over them and light it on fire.
That's BMW.
I thought BMWs will hold your wallet and your bank account and your wife over there and light them all three on fire.
That's
No, that's
Rolls-Royce.
Ferraris. Yes, that's Ferraris.
Yeah, you're right. It's actually Rolls-Royce or Ferrari, either one. They both
Yeah.
have the same. Difference is, I think with Rolls-Royce, you have to have a lamb involved somehow.
Yeah, that's probably right.
And mint jelly.
Lamb and mint jelly or something. I don't know. That's why I don't own a Rolls.
And here's the fun part. I managed to pull the boot loose when I was fighting with it. So now I got to try to get the boot lock back over the lip.
It keeps dirt out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And grease in.
Yes, and you want grease when it's metal on metal.
Okay, try to keep dirt and water out. And grease in.
Otherwise, that part will seize up, and then I'll be laughing at him out here 6 months later when he's doing this
Again.
We are playing with rubber now.
You know what? I'm going to go and take this off the jack first. So it's sitting on the jack stand again. Because I don't need it up now. And that's safer. There we go. Safety first.
Yes.
Also gets that out of the way. I need a bigger screwdriver.
Why do you need a bigger screwdriver?
Ow.
You need your car not to attack you.
That was the jack stand I hit my head on.
Oh, you need your jack stand not to attack you. In case I've forgotten to mention, please subscribe so we can get Karl some new shoes. New mechanic shoes.
And we're back to silence.
Yes.
And you get to see my new shoes that are already falling apart.
They were 3 months old, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
You worn them 5 times. All right. And there's the new brake caliper.
Yeah, we've started the brakes. And we went into the confusion on brakes.
Yes.
And how bad that existing brake caliper is. And they want it back as a core, and they're going to have fun on that one since it's welded tight. Although I did put the stop back in it for them so it wouldn't leak.
Yeah. But they also get a brake shoe with it, too. So,
Yep. The brake shoe would not come off.
So if you buy a brake caliper with a shoe already included,
Be
return
afraid.
it. Don't be afraid. Return it.
And here we go, unwrapping presents.
It's like Christmas morning at your grandmother's house where all you get is socks.
And then these brakes actually had a different shoe clip than I've used on any other brakes I've worked with, disc brakes I've worked on. And they actually clip on to the caliper instead of sitting on the brakes. And so took me a moment to figure out which direction they go on, how they go on. But once I figured it out, they're actually pretty nice. You clip them on there and just slide the brakes into them. And
yeah, that would be pretty easy.
If the parts were still on the other ones, it would have gone quicker too, because they would have been how they should have been.
Yeah.
As opposed to, what are these? The old one doesn't have these anymore.
Well, the old one didn't have anything. It fired the brake pads at you.
Yeah.
Spit them both out. And a nice shower of silvery metal from the rotor.
And who knows where the clips are.
Next to that combine you had to dodge on the road one day. I don't know.
Part of one of the gravel roads now, probably. But
yep.
It's just me assembling the brake.
I'm installing the
putting
brakes.
The shoes in.
Yep.
Put the clips in. Put the shoes in. Some point, I don't know if it's already passed, you'll see me messing with the screwdriver, and that was just me. They've got little lock points, the clips do, and they have grooves for the point to go into, and that was me just pulling it up so it would slide in and lock. And then me putting thread tight on the rotor lock screws so that I don't have to super tighten them, and they will back out again without when I want them to, not when I don't want them to.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just hand tighten them.
And it protects the threading on the screw hole and the screw, so why not use it?
It reduces the chances of it corroding. It reduces the chances of it backing out. Here's me disassembling the nice thread lock tube I had with the portioning thing, and showing that those are wonderful because not only is it convenient when they work, but when you run out in the middle of a project, you can take it apart and it has a reserve tank.
Yep. There's a random advice moment for the day right there. That's what would pop up right now if I wasn't lazy.
Yeah.
So.
And just hand tightening the lock screws.
Mm-hmm. And like we said before, most of this stuff does have a torque rating. Try to match the torque rating. Mm-hmm. And there we go. It's on. I beat you to it.
And there. Showing that off. And I have no idea why I had my multi-tool out. But more thread lock for brake bolts. Which on one of the other ones I put thread lock on the bolts for the brakes, and then anti-seize on the end. That kind of depends on what you're working on. This one, the bolts on it didn't have a problem. The Buick, I do that on the Buick because the ends of the bolts will try to corrode themselves shut. Yeah. So I put anti-seize on the end so they won't corrode and swell, and then thread lock on the bolt itself so that it'll stay in and won't seal. So won't, rust itself shut.
Yeah. So over the top of the bolt or underneath the lip, right there where the thread meets the top.
Where the end of the bolt showing at the end of the threads, in there is where I put the anti-seize.
Okay.
That way it just kind of seals it and kind of prevents it from, rusting itself tight.
Yeah. Which, there you go. There's another random advice moment. All right.
But thread lock does a lot to help prevent that too, because it still provides a barrier between the two metals. And if it's something you want to keep tight, that's really good to have in there if you're not torquing it and you're not using lock washers, that kind of stuff. That'll hold it in besides that.
Yeah.
It's a good safeguard.
If it's a vehicle...
Just don't use red. Don't use red thread lock. Unless you really don't want it to ever come out again.
He has nightmares of that Renegade. So, if it's a bolt, your vehicle you're working on, and you're going to have to remove it again, definitely use Loctite on there. All right.
Blue Loctite.
Blue Loctite, yes. And anti-seize maybe.
Yeah, depending on what it is, if you have something that you're torquing to a high spec, to a high weight, and that you tend to use, it tends to call for anti-seize if it should have anti-seize used on it.
Yeah.
And
there he's checking.
I'm checking fluid, making sure .3 works on it, and it does.
Yeah.
And the gourmet brake fluid.
What'll happen if I mix .2, for example, and .3?
Well, I haven't really seen .2 much, but the biggest thing, .3 is less of an issue. It's more of a generic now. But some vehicles that use .4, and I believe there's a .5, will not use .3. .4 will work in some that use .3, and there's me just checking the oil because it hasn't run in a few months, and I want to make sure it hadn't leaked.
Yeah.
And .5, really sensitive. It's different. There's different consistencies. So if you use the wrong one, you may blow out your master cylinder, or your master cylinder may not work. Or, you can cause damage to the system. So use what's recommended.
Oh, that's pretty good. Didn't know that. So you can't just grab any old bottle off the shelf, even if you...
the ABS system, this doesn't have ABS. They're pretty insensitive to it, but ABS systems can be very sensitive to it.
Yeah.
It can mess them up and make them perform screwy.
Good to know.
And there's me putting everything down, putting that side together. That side is done.
That's right.
And then staring at the nightmare to come on the other side.
Which wasn't nearly as bad.
Nope. And hopefully some of the stuff that's missing will be on that one.
Yes. You should tune in for that one, because that one is how it should have went. That one, those are coming up here in a few weeks. As soon as I edit them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Next time.
So long.